We are now receiving unconfirmed reports that an Israeli airstrike has targeted a suspected URG facility deep within Iranian territory. Casualty numbers remain unknown, but Iranian state media claims at least 42 dead, including 2 high-ranking Quds Force commanders. These words, read by anchor Layla Khoury on the late Night World News, ignited a firestorm that would shake the world's already fragile geopolitical balance. Background: for months, intelligence chatter had suggested Israel was growing increasingly uneasy about Iran's covert activities in Syria, Iraq, and, more dangerously, in Lebanon and Gaza. But what no one expected was for Mossad and the Israeli Air Force to act so brazenly. The airstrike on March 19th was no tactical operation. It was a high-altitude barrage involving F-35s flying from Negev airbases, using Saudi Arabian air corridors silently approved through a discreet Riyadh-Tel Aviv backchannel agreement. According to Israeli sources, the target was Site 871, a subterranean nuclear development compound located 80 km outside Isfahan. Tehran, however, claimed the facility was a research center for civilian energy solutions. The secret meeting in Tel Aviv, March 20, 2025, 12 a.m., Israeli Prime Minister's Situation Room. Prime Minister Eli Nave, elected after the collapse of the Netanyahu-Lapid coalition, paced nervously in front of his war cabinet. We've hit them hard. But now, the question is not what we did, it's what they'll do next. Nave said, eyeing Mossad Director Yael Kohavi. Kohavi placed a classified satellite image of the smoldering Site 871 on the conference table. They'll deny the nuclear aspect in public. But make no mistake, they'll retaliate, and not through proxies this time. IDF Chief of Staff Major General Ariel Brenner interjected, "We've raised readiness levels on the northern front. Hezbollah's already moving short-range missiles into southern Lebanon." In Tehran, rage boils. March 20, 2025, Office of the Supreme Leader. Tehran: Ayatollah Khamenei summoned the newly appointed URG commander, General Farid Vahidi. The air was heavy with incense and tension. This is no longer about deterrence. The Zionists have humiliated us on Persian soil. The Supreme Leader said, his voice calm but cutting. They seek war. Then let us give them one, but on our terms. Vahidi bowed. With your permission, we will activate Operation Zainab's Oath. That operation had been conceptualized a year prior, an asymmetric strategy designed to strike Israeli infrastructure through cyber warfare, naval disruption in the Red Sea, and coordinated regional unrest in Jordan, Lebanon, and Iraq. Washington in panic mode at the Pentagon. Secretary of Defense Abigail Monroe held an emergency call with CENTCOM, the CIA, and President Kamala Harris, whose presidency had already been beleaguered by crises in Taiwan and North Korea. If Iran strikes back directly, we'll have no choice but to intervene diplomatically. If Hezbollah escalates, then God help us all, Harris said, her voice clipped, exhaustion in her eyes. The CIA Tehran desk chief, Adrian Roth, shared intel suggesting Iran's coordination with Russia was deeper than previously thought. There's something else, Roth said. We've intercepted encrypted chatter between Quds Force agents and Wagner mercenaries stationed in Daraa, Syria. This may be bigger than a tit-for-tat. A leak changes everything. 3 days later, a mysterious dossier, codenamed Project Phoenix, was leaked to The Guardian by a whistleblower within the IAEA. The documents, verified by multiple sources, revealed that the targeted Site 871 was not only building enrichment centrifuges, but had already completed 2 experimental warheads, potentially in collaboration with North Korean technicians. Headline: Iran's secret nuclear progress. The world was looking the other way. The revelation rattled European capitals. French President Emmanuel Macron convened an emergency EU Security Council where Germany's Chancellor Dieter Riemann exclaimed, "If this is accurate, Iran has crossed the Rubicon. We must push for a UN intervention resolution, no matter the Russian veto." The whisper in Moscow. In a dim, lit chamber beneath the Kremlin, President Vladimir Putin met with Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Mahdi. This strike, while provocative, was a gift, Putin said cryptically. It allows you to unleash control chaos and for us, a new opportunity to fracture NATO. Mahdi nodded, but we'll need more than just diplomatic cover. Putin smiled, "We'll give you access to the S-500 network in Syria. No Israeli jet will fly unnoticed again. The Israeli airstrike has shattered regional stability." Iran prepares an asymmetrical and deeply strategic response, while allies and adversaries worldwide begin to align, fueled by secrets, deception, and ambitions centuries old. But as leaked documents reveal Iran's deeper nuclear progress, the conflict begins shifting from a regional tit-for-tat to a global flashpoint. March 23, 2025, Damascus, Syria. Undisclosed basement beneath the Sayyida Zainab shrine. A gathering that never should have happened took place beneath a centuries-old holy site. Lit only by a hanging bulb and guarded by layers of informants, drones, and digital interference. Representatives from Iran, Hezbollah, Iraqi PMF militias, and Syrian intelligence met in what came to be known as the Zainab Circle. IRG Commander General Farid Vahidi opened the meeting with clinical clarity. "They struck us thinking we would break, but we bend, never break. We hit back, not through anger but through precision. We will strike Tel Aviv not with missiles but with silence and darkness." Operation Zainab's Oath was greenlit in full. 3 strategic actions were launched that night. 1. Cyber grid penetration, a coordinated attack on Israeli power and water facilities using Iranian AI-modulated malware called Mokhtar. 2. Sea route disruption. Fast boats and magnetic mines were positioned near the Eilat port and Red Sea shipping lanes, targeting Israeli-bound vessels. 3. Internal destabilization. Support for Palestinian factions in the West Bank and underground cells in Jordan was increased, signaling unrest. The first visible retaliation hit Tel Aviv on March 24 at 2:43 a.m. The city plunged into a sudden blackout. The entire Israeli financial grid was crippled for 6 hours, sparking panic on international markets. Jerusalem reacts. "We are now in open conflict." Prime Minister Eli Neve stood grimly before the Knesset. "This is not just cyber warfare. This is war, not declared, but initiated by a regime that hides uranium beneath mosques and proxies behind children. We will not wait for another strike." Mossad's Yael Kohavi issued a warning to U.S. counterparts. Iran had officially crossed the red threshold. But in Washington, President Kamala Harris resisted immediate escalation. "There's too much at stake: energy security, the Turkish corridor, NATO unity. If this spins out of control, we'll lose the entire region to chaos," she told Secretary of State Antonio Vega in a tense Oval Office meeting. Meanwhile, CIA Tehran desk chief Adrian Roth received new intercepted communication from a Mossad double agent embedded in the Iranian Foreign Ministry. The contents were chilling. Russia is using this conflict to test NATO response time in the Mediterranean. Chinese naval intelligence is watching from Djibouti. We are the powder keg. Leaked tapes, betrayal in Amman. A bombshell dropped on March 26 when Al Arabiya aired leaked audio files from a secret Jordanian-Israeli meeting. Jordanian intelligence chief Major General Hani Suleiman was heard negotiating with Mossad officers to allow Israeli drones access to Jordanian airspace for a surgical strike on a Quds Force convoy in Iraq. Jordan's King Abdullah Roman II was blindsided. Protesters flooded Amman streets. Iran's state media fanned the flames, accusing Jordan of becoming a Zionist collaborator. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq seized this as a green light, launching 6 missiles at the U.S. base in Erbil. 2 Americans were killed. At CENTCOM, General Colin Brooks ordered a temporary shutdown of bases across Iraq and Kuwait. "We are no longer observers," he said grimly. "We're targets." Moscow and Beijing. The quiet King's-back-channel diplomatic chatter indicated Russia had now deployed S-500 missile defense systems near Tartus and H-Mamim in Syria. Unmarked technicians were seen near the border with Lebanon. Meanwhile, Chinese naval presence expanded quietly in the Indian Ocean, with 2 destroyers now shadowing U.S. and Israeli submarines near the Strait of Hormuz. Putin, in a video conference with Chinese President Li Qiang, reportedly said, "Let them tear each other apart. Then we write the map." The betrayal at Shin Bet while Israel scrambled to respond. Internal betrayal unfolded in Tel Aviv. A high-level Shin Bet official, code, named Orpheus, leaked sensitive operational plans to Iran via an encrypted Proton mail address. The whistleblower's motive, a personal vendetta. His brother had been killed in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza years prior. The intelligence breach allowed Iranian units to evade a planned assassination in Damascus and set a counter-trap. On March 28, 3 Mossad agents were killed in Aleppo during a mission compromised in real time. Their names were never released, but their deaths sent shockwaves through Israeli intelligence. Saudi Arabia, pivot or ally, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman MBS already navigating diplomatic minefields with the U.S., Iran and Israel found himself under immense pressure. Iranian drones were spotted near the UAE border, a confidential U.S. cable revealed. MBS is re-evaluating the secret security pact with Israel. Ad fears being dragged into direct confrontation. But he also fears Iranian dominance of the Gulf. In a private video call between MBS and Kamala Harris leaked by an anonymous Saudi dissident, MBS could be heard saying, "You want oil stability, I want regime survival. Don't ask me to choose between them." The retaliation has begun, not through conventional warfare, but through sabotage, manipulation, and cyber strikes. Iran has embraced indirect warfare, destabilizing the region through asymmetric means. Israel, blindsided by internal betrayal and regional blowback, now faces a multi-front shadow war. Russia and China manipulate from the sidelines, calculating their move as the U.S. struggles to keep NATO united. And beneath it all lies a secret alliance few expected, set to turn everything upside down. March 30, 2025, near Tyre, southern Lebanon. Quds Force Safe House 1, 14 a.m. The room was tense. General Farid Vahidi leaned over a table scattered with aerial maps, cell phone intercepts, and a captured Israeli drone's broken fuselage. A grim-faced Hezbollah liaison, Hassan al-Khatib, poured tea with shaking hands. "The Israelis are planning a decapitation strike," Vahidi muttered. "They've triangulated our mobile convoys using satellite drift and thermal bounceback. We underestimated their AI, again." A few feet away, a Russian military advisor, known only as Mikhail, scrawled notes onto a waxed canvas with an antique stylus. No laptops, no wireless. The Iranians had learned, when Mossad was watching, analog was survival. "Your window is shrinking," Mikhail warned in Russian. "A false flag will distract them. Frame someone or something. Make Tel Aviv paranoid." The false flag, a calculated spark on April 1, 2025, a missile launched from southern Syria struck Haifa's port, destroying an Israeli civilian cargo vessel and killing 19 dock workers. Within hours, Israeli news outlets declared Iran-backed forces behind the attack. But deep in the bowels of the CIA Bahrain station, intelligence analyst Eliza Medina flagged an anomaly. The missile bore signature coding that matched Russian-made Burevestnik tech. Never sold to Iran, but licensed to Egypt and Sudan. "Director, there's a setup unfolding here," she told CI Chief Roth. "This wasn't Iranian. It was made to look Iranian." Still, Israel retaliated. On April 2, a precision airstrike leveled a known Quds Force logistics hub in Homs, Syria. Over 40 dead, among them 3 senior Hezbollah strategists and unintentionally, a Russian field engineer. The Kremlin went silent for 36 hours. Then, on April 4, Putin delivered a thinly veiled warning on state TV. Those who launch missiles in haste may one day receive them in silence. Secret diplomacy, Berlin, Istanbul, and beyond the European Union, long irrelevant in Middle Eastern military affairs, saw an opening. Germany and Turkey jointly hosted a covert summit in Istanbul, attended by Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Bahruz Mamoudian, Mossad envoy Daniel Ziv, undercover as a business consultant, Russian observers silent but present, and most shockingly, a delegation from Hamas led by a mysterious figure codenamed Ibrahim the Architect. No media, no leaks, but UK intelligence, through MI6 operatives embedded in the Turkish National Police, caught audio snippets. Mahmoudyan, we want sanctions lifted. You want oil stable. Let us keep the proxy war clean. No nukes. No Haifa. No Jerusalem. Ziv, and in return, Mahmoudyan, a ceasefire window, just long enough for elections to settle your internal chaos. What neither side knew, Ibrahim the architect had recorded the entire session and sent it to Al Mayadeen TV in Lebanon. The leak went live within 48 hours. The result, fury in both Tehran and Tel Aviv. Protesters flooded the streets, moderates in Iran were silenced, and hardliners in Israel declared any negotiation a betrayal of Jewish sovereignty. Personal betrayal. The Yale Kohavi scandal then came the most stunning internal scandal to shake Israel in a decade. Mossad director Yale Kohavi was accused of suppressing early intel about Iran's nuclear weaponization timeline. Intel received as early as January 2024 through an intercepted North Korean diplomatic pouch in Vienna. Whistleblower Avi Dagan, a Mossad veteran of 20 years, claimed Kohavi chose to sit on it to avoid political interference during Israel's election cycle. He appeared anonymously on Channel 12. This wasn't about defense. This was about votes. She gambled with our future. Within days, Kohavi resigned under pressure. But the fallout was deeper. The exposure led to the identification and execution of 3 Mossad informants inside Qom, triggering Israel to launch Operation Iron Chariot, a series of classified sabotage missions in Isfahan and Natanz, some involving magnetic drone swarms and neutron scramblers. Iran's next move, Project Cipher, behind closed doors in a bunker in Kazvin, Iran's most secret cyber warfare cell, Unit 77, unleashed Project Cipher, meaning zero. In Arabic and Farsi, the plan was elegant and devastating: to create a multi-vector cyber illusion, simulating a large-scale Israeli nuclear launch signature aimed at Tehran. The goal: provoke foreign panic, test Iron Dome vulnerabilities, and expose NATO's rapid response protocols. On April 9, it began. At 3:13 a.m., NATO early warning systems in Ramstein picked up what appeared to be an unauthorized Israeli launch pattern, mimicking Jericho 3 missile deployment. Chaos ensued. The U.S. moved naval assets into DEFCON 2. Russia put Kaliningrad nukes on standby. China initiated its South China Sea lockdown protocol. Oil prices hit $204 per barrel within 12 hours. Israel, meanwhile, knew it hadn't launched anything, but feared it was being framed for something far worse. The UN collapse on April 11. A motion for emergency diplomatic resolution collapsed spectacularly at the UN Security Council. Russia vetoed any condemnation of Iran. The US and UK refused to denounce Israel. China walked out mid-session. Iran accused the UN of being a Zionist echo chamber. France, trying to mediate, was labeled toothless by both sides. The UN Secretary General, in a rare candid outburst, declared, "This council has become a battlefield of ghosts. Everyone here is fighting shadows of themselves." Final betrayal. The Iranian defector, just as the world inched toward nuclear brinkmanship, an unexpected actor emerged. A senior IRG general named Karim Razavi, long thought to be a regime loyalist, defected, landing in Cyprus under heavy British protection. Razavi came with 1.4 terabytes of files, including direct communication logs between Tehran, Pyongyang, and Moscow, detailing Iranian warhead progress, Russian real-time battlefield coordination, Chinese investment in IRG, clinked AI defense systems, and, most shockingly, a planned joint missile test over the Arabian Sea using a North Korean payload disguised as an Indian satellite launch. The fog of war thickens. False flags, double agents, and secret deals have shattered what little trust remains. Israel and Iran are no longer simply at odds. They are being maneuvered like chess pieces by larger forces. Cyber warfare becomes the main battlefield. The defection of General Razavi and his digital war chest hints at a global conspiracy that could implicate powers far beyond the Middle East. April 14, 2025, London, MI6 secure facility inside a classified briefing room beneath Thames House. The air was electric. British intelligence analyst Charlotte Byron, one of MI6's leading signals experts, paced as she uploaded General Razavi's stolen archive to a decrypted array. The room dimmed. A wall of data flickered alive: satellite logs, encrypted emails, phone intercepts. A single folder titled Project Silk Road, the realignment protocol, glowed on the main screen. Within minutes, Byron had pieced together the unthinkable. The Israeli-Iranian escalation she began wasn't just regional retaliation. It was induced artificially, systematically, by third-party actors with vested interest in a fractured West. Her voice lowered. We are looking at a coordinated geopolitical redirection involving Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, engineered not for domination but fragmentation. The endgame wasn't war, it was disruption to drain the U.S. militarily, politically, and economically. The intelligence community would call it the multi-vector disorientation doctrine. The hidden axis, the files from Project Silk Road, outlined a long-term strategy initiated in 2022 under a Moscow-Beijing strategic doctrine called Phase Eclipse. Plan hinged on weaponizing regional hotbeds to ignite distraction fires across multiple continents. Middle East, Iran, Israel, trigger escalation to fracture NATO unity and drain Western military focus. Taiwan, PLA air pressure, keep the Pacific on alert. Africa, Sahel corridor, use Wagner groups and Iranian arms shipments to destabilize French and U.S. influence. South America, leverage trade manipulation and AI-fueled misinformation to push populist governments away from the West. Energy disruption, artificially inflate oil markets to increase dependency on Chinese rare earths and Russian gas. The U.S. internal collapse as the global chessboard shifted. Washington fell into disarray. Leaked Pentagon memos revealed infighting between Defense Secretary Monroe and NSA Director Tillerson over how to respond to the Iranian defectors' files. President Kamala Harris, already weakened by a divided Congress, was boxed in. On April 15, a whistleblower from within the Joint Chiefs leaked that the U.S. had considered launching a limited EMP strike on Isfahan to neutralize further Iranian nuclear progress, but had been vetoed by the UK and Germany due to catastrophic fallout risks. That leak created national outrage. Thousands protested in New York, San Francisco, and Houston. The narrative was shifting. For the first time, Americans began asking, are we the ones being manipulated into endless war? Inside Iran, collapse of consensus in Tehran, the Razavi defection triggered a political civil war. Moderate factions led by Foreign Minister Kamel Ganbari accused Supreme Leader Khamenei and IRG commanders of conspiring with foreign regimes for personal survival. We have turned ourselves into pawns of Putin and satellites of Xi, Ganbari declared in a now viral speech. On April 18, a failed coup attempt within the IRG nearly toppled Vahidi's command. Street clashes erupted in Qom and Mashhad. Protesters, many waving the pre-revolutionary Iranian flag, chanted no to Moscow, no to Mecca. Only Iran. Ayatollah Khamenei, in a final attempt to quell dissent, deployed Basij paramilitary forces across Tehran. Over 600 were arrested, but the dam had cracked. Israel's shock doctrine Prime Minister Eli Neve facing collapse at home after the Kohavi scandal and Razavi's revelations, issued a broadcast unlike any in Israeli history. To my people and to the world, we are not just at war with Iran. We are at war with an illusion crafted by powers far beyond our border. For this reason, I am suspending all further strikes. We will not be pulled into someone else's apocalypse. The Israeli military command was stunned. A brief mutiny at the Kiryat headquarters almost led to Neve's ousting, but popular support surged. For the first time in weeks, Tel Aviv saw peace protests turn into pro-government rallies. The final revelation, the real enemy back in MI6's vaults. Charlotte Byron made a final discovery. Deep within Razavi's archive was a series of recorded video calls between Russian spymaster Sergei Bortnikov and a Chinese general, coded only as Tiger Lotus. One transcript stood out. Bortnikov, we need the to bleed slowly. The West fractures not by destruction but by doubt. Tiger Lotus and Israel and Iran. Bortnikov, they will rage like fire, but fire consumes, then only ash remains. And ash is fertile. In one of the final videos, a map appeared, subtly altered, a redrawn Middle East, with oil routes rerouted through Chinese-leased ports in Pakistan and Africa, Russia controlling energy corridors into Europe, and Iran divided into federal provinces under Sino-Russian oversight, and Israel surrounded, economically isolated, neutralized. But most shockingly, beneath this map was a signature, approved by Project Mandola Geneva 2021. Geneva, a Swiss-based think tank once believed to be defunct, funded by multinational oil and AI conglomerates. The real puppeteers weren't just states, they were corporations. The war hadn't been just geopolitical, it had been geoeconomic, engineered by non-state actors using state tools. Israel and Iran were merely pawns. The walkaway moment, April 22, 2025, a joint statement is released from London, Berlin, and Tel Aviv. We hereby launch an independent multinational investigation into foreign interference in global conflict escalation. No actor, sovereign or corporate, shall be exempt. Iran's internal power struggle enters civil war. Israel freezes military expansion. The U.S. Senate opens hearings into classified war authorizations. Russia and China deny all involvement. And in Geneva, the headquarters of the long-forgotten Project Mandola burns down in a mysterious fire, its hard drives missing, surveillance cameras disabled. The world watches with weary eyes. The drums of war have gone silent, but in their place something colder lingers, the realization that the real war was never fought with missiles or drones, but with whispers, wires, and wallets.